It's never easy when love ends, but when that love was shared with a narcissist, the suffering can seem especially terrible. The way a relationship with a narcissist collapses is really devastating. Starting as a whirl of passion, charm, and excitement, what gradually becomes a confusing, painful jumble has you wondering not only about the relationship, but also about yourself. The suffering that results from the realization of the actual nature of the narcissist can be nearly intolerable. Being with a narcissist at first can be seductive. They know how to sweep you off your feet with grand gestures, hypnotic talks, and a magnetism hard to resist. Confidence, charm, and a deep connection that feels too wonderful to be true seem to be everything you ever desired embodied here. In many respects, too, it is. Using affection and attention as a tool of control, narcissists are expert at creating illusions. They adapt their conduct to fit the wants and expectations of their spouse. But the illusion starts to fracture as the layers fall away. Love with a narcissist is strong. Nevertheless, that intensity can darken over time. Eventually, the honeymoon phase, when everything looks ideal, disappears. You start to see little but steady changes in their conduct. What previously felt like respect turns more into manipulation. The appeal that pulled you in now seems empty. They grow less sensitive, more critical. The same person who used to constantly compliment you now points out your shortcomings shockingly quickly. You come to see that the person you had feelings for could not be as real as they once seemed. This is terrible. The person you thought you know starts to dissolve right before your eyes and is replaced by someone who seems more concerned in dominating you than in loving you. Narcissists give very little in return, yet have a tendency to emotionally deplete their spouses. They yearn for continual validation and appreciation. They withdraw when you start to emphasize your needs. That is, when you stop fueling their ego. They might even turn cold or aloof. By means of strategies like silent treatment or gaslighting to challenge your own view of reality, you might even start to doubt. Many people find that ending a relationship with a narcissist results in a loss of self rather than only the love loss. Skilled in warping the dynamics of a relationship in such a way that their partner becomes ever dependent on them for acceptance and validation, narcissists or your feeling of value is entwined with their acceptance over time. You begin to see that your own value reflects either their affection or lack. This might make the end of the relationship seem very intimate, like a critique of your value instead than a logical end of a poisonous relationship. Often the manner a relationship ends is the most agonizing aspect of loving a narcissist. Rarely do narcissists provide the closure you require. They also avoid honest communication or joint analysis of what went wrong. Rather, they leave suddenly, perhaps without explanation, or with a list of your claimed flaws that renders you stunned. They might even hurry on, jumping into a new relationship before you have time to deal with the demise of yours. The link that meant so much to you seemed to mean to them so little. Lack of closure may be terrible. It keeps you struggling with unresolved emotions and questions. You find yourself mentally revisiting the relationship, attempting to identify the instant things began to go apart. Was it your activity? Had you been different, better, you could have preserved the relationship? Actually, the demise of the relationship was always certain when dealing with a narcissist. Their craving for control, their incapacity to really connect on a deep emotional level, their ceaseless search for validation, all of which makes steady, healthy love virtually impossible. Though it stings, you should realize that the behavior of the narcissist is not a mirror of yours. Their coldness and brutality result from their own deep-seated vulnerability-related worries. Trapped in a loop of self-absorption and emotional detachment, they cannot love the way you deserve to be loved. You experience true agony, but it is not your fault. Following the breakup, it's easy to lose yourself in the hurt. You could feel as though you won't be able to get back on your feet. Healing starts here, though, as one realizes that the loss of love with a narcissist is not the end of love generally. Though it's a sad lesson, one that can finally result in development. You start to recognize the value of self-love, of establishing limits, of looking for relationships anchored on mutual respect and real concern. Healing from a narcissistic relationship takes time, but the suffering begins to soften with every forward step. You start to recover your sense of self and realize that your value has nothing to do with the approval of someone else. You begin to see that love is not meant to cause pain or make one feel inadequate or unworthy. The narcissist could have tried to persuade you differently, but you can now see the reality when they are shown for who they really are. Love with a narcissist ends as terrible, yet with time it becomes abundantly evident that it was never really love to start with. What you had was an illusion, well built and maintained by someone more concerned in control than in connection. And when that illusion vanishes, you discover something far more valuable: the opportunity to rebuild, to heal, and to discover a true, not merely a mirror of someone else's desire for validation love. It's never